Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're checking out the Northern Dragon. It's a Tier 7 Premium Asian Destroyer currently available in the shop for doubloons, I believe. It's part of the Lunar New Year celebration. You can get the Eastern and Southern Dragons as well, which are Miyoko clones with cool kind of neon paint on them that glows underwater. I kind of like the look of those personally, and I like Japanese cruisers, so those are fun. This Northern Dragon here, it's an Pan-Asian nation destroyer, but it's kind of an Akizuki clone, which is a Tier 7 Japanese gunboat. Really the only Japanese gunboat we currently have in the game. So I'm going to start off highlighting the differences between the two ships. This plays pretty similar, but there are a little bit different differences. Now, keep in mind, some of them are just going to be due to the different builds. Obviously, we have different commanders being different nations, but I tried to account for those as much as possible. As far as I can tell, the build on the ship, due to the slot 4 being different, accounts for the turret traverse and the range being different. So I think those are the same. But the gun performance, reload a lot faster on the Akizuki, 2.8 seconds, 4.7 here. The trade-off differences in damage values. Full damage HE shot 300 points, or 300 hit points more, and the AP difference 350 damage differential for a max shot. So usually you're going to want a faster reload in that case because you're not going to be doing the full damage anyways. So I think getting more hits on target, assuming they're doing some damage, is going to be generally better. So the Akizuki, I think, would have the raw advantage with the gun performance. We'll see the guns, and I'm going to highlight the differences here. I believe there was a mission going on while I was playing this that was trying to set fires with this ship, so I was shooting a lot more HE than I normally would, but we will talk more about the preferred shells for both the Akizuki and the Northern Dragon here as the time goes on. But as we're contesting A here, we'll be fighting a Kagero and these other guys point blank range. The rest of the differences: torpedoes, about a 10-second quicker reload on Akizuki. Damage, same. Range and speed, better on this one. 12 kilometers, 71 knots compared to 10 range and 67 knots. Other than that, minute differences between the maneuverability, the concealment favors slightly the Akizuki, and the smoke better on this one. Longer duration and longer deployment. So those are the key differences between the ships. They play pretty similarly overall. Jumping into the game here, we're going to see that the base continues to be contested. We got to get away from the Bismarck. We got to get away from battleships who are rushing smokes in general. That's kind of a destroyer 101 type of a concept. Do not think, okay, I'm in the smoke, they can't see me. They will see you, they'll push into you, and if they get you close range, you're going to die. So we need to stay away from the Bismarck and battleships in general. Oh, and by the way, it's got a really good sonar on it. I think it's about 4.5, if I remember off the top of my head. So we don't want the Bismarck pushing into us. Try to get them with torps, trying to get them with fires here. But let's talk about the shell selection. Now, again, I'm shooting a little bit more HE than we normally would. Angled battleships, we're going to be forced to shoot HE. But this is a type of ship that we want to shoot AP as much as possible. So anything broadside, including, I think we'll see a good close quarters destroyer fight towards the end of the video, and we'll see the AP in action there. Broadside battleships, AP into superstructure. Broadside cruisers, AP test the aim point, but probably superstructure. These are 100 caliber guns on both the Akizuki and Northern Dragon, and at this tier, that leads to what seems to be bizarre shell performances. Where watch the sections where I'm shooting a lot of HE, and we'll see dozens of shatters in a row, right? And we're really just trying to rely on, well, those shells just kind of transported right through the ship, I guess. But you can see there are 11 hits, none of them dealt any damage, and we didn't get any fires either. So the AP is probably not going to do any better there. Might be worth testing due to the quick reloading guns. If the AP works, we always want to be using the AP, but HE, we got to find the right aim point, right? Really, for both of these ships, or both of the shell types. If you're not doing the damage, well, then we're just relying on the fire starting chance, which is decent, 8% compared to 5 on the Akizuki, by the way. It's not bad, but it's not, we'd rather be doing damage and starting fires. So really try and focus on the AP again. If you're watching this game, just mentally take a note that there was mission incentives to not always shoot the proper shell selection. Moving back into A here, of course, we're playing the side. We want to capture the base if possible. Here comes a defensive spread from the Kagero. We're rushing him, and here he is. And we're going to test the HE on here. Now, if it's really, really lightly armored, like the Kagero potentially is, we could use the HE. But again, watching the results here, I'm seeing 2 pens and 8 shatters. So AP would have been a better shell there, and we do switch over here. Hopefully we'll see a difference in the result here in a moment. He is angling away, so we'll see if that affects it at all as well. In fact, there are some skips off the side. So you can have some difficulty with these shells. It's one of those type of ships where you really need to understand, number one, the indicators, what are they telling you, and shell selection, everything. It's kind of more advanced in terms of making the guns productive, right? Most ships, you just shoot HE, okay, it's going to do less damage than the AP potentially, but more consistent. That's not necessarily the case with the Dragon and the Akizuki. We do need to be aware of the guns. Trying to get these deep water torps in here. Very hard to dodge. If you not familiar with the deep waters, you haven't played the Asians yet, basically you see those round icons instead of the triangles. That's the visual significance, but they are low detection. So they basically pop up right next to the ship. They can't hit destroyers, but they hit cruisers and battleships quite well, and they have a higher chance to do mod damage and stuff like that. I think enhanced flood too, if I recall. It's been a little while since I looked at the rules set. But anyway, different performance. The main difference is you can't hit destroyers with them, but a lot of you guys or a lot of players in general are relying too much on the torpedoes to fight destroyers anyways. So this kind of forces you to focus on the guns because the torpedoes are going to go right under those suckers. All right, so we finally cleared the cap off. We got B, which is, usually on this map, one team will concede it or both teams will sit on it and freeze it for a long time. They are attacking our home cap D, which is extremely distressing. Now, if we get this and B, we kind of have half of the map under control, and then they have the vertical half C and D. So that's an option we can work with. Unfortunately, we got a battleship that's now dragging these guys northward, right? Keep an eye on the valuable parts of the map. Always draw a little mental oval around, okay, we got A, B, C, and D right in the middle there. That's the important part of the map. If whatever battleship that is wants to go all the way to the north of the map, let them go. They have no strategic value whatsoever. Unless he's the last ship and we're up big time and score and everything, we're not going to lose the game. Chasing him is a losing play. In fact, it turns into a really good play for the red guy to be doing this. Normally, you don't want to sail all the way up there because there's nothing of strategic value. But if you can drag ships, especially multiple ships, and he's got the 2 battleships directly below him, and the guy through B's, both of these guys through B are looking to get in on him. So he's effectively dragging 4 of the 5 ships off of the relevant part of the map, which is a disaster. All right, so we got to hope and pray. There goes the York. And by the way, it's easier to fight when you're being chased than when you're chasing. Another added benefit there. So we need to hope and pray that they kill this guy, because the longer their attention is divided with them, the lower our win rate chances go. Oh, we're tied, or actually we're down on ships now. We're up in score, though. You might be saying, this is a disaster. This is a losing position as a raid. I'm trying to ping these guys, get them to start thinking a little bit. Luckily, Kansas is quite low, and down he goes. So that's the little bit of luck that we had here, because if this goes on another 5 minutes, this game's going to be heavily favored by red by the end of it. So I definitely can't stop 4 ships from capturing B and slaughtering these guys on the sides while they're distracted shooting a guy up north. So anyway, do not fall for that play unless the very limited circumstances are going to dictate, okay, we got to chase him. And again, that's usually he's the only guy left alive. There's nothing else to do. But do not leave the relevant portions of the map to take a lower percentage battle where we're chasing someone who's got the advantage. It's easier to dodge, easier to hit when you're being chased as opposed to chasing. And we don't want to give up our map control, which we had pretty good control of early in the match, which is why we're still up in score despite being relatively tied on the board. There's only about a 10-point difference in the background scoring there in terms of ship weight. So anyway, now what we're going to have to do here, well, this is decision time because we're a one-shot to everything in the game, right? 600 HP, that's not going to cut it. I figure as I'm playing this, all their guys are spotted or unspotted have traveled through D, right? There was a big fight down there that took them a while. They kind of got drawn into the kiting them into the spawn play that our guys were doing as well. And so I'm thinking those guys are all probably down there. We're going to throw some torps down here. maybe get lucky, try and slow these guys down. Would like to grievously wound them. And then I want to harass C, because getting a score victory here is going to be a key part of our strategy at this point in time. I don't have a lot of faith in the team. We don't have a lot of HP to work with either. So if we can grab another cap, I think that would be an insurance policy that we could definitely use, or at least slow down the scoring. Twist and Track, however, is pointing over here. And Zeiton, at this point in time, I'm thinking, okay, that's probably it. We spot the 3 of the 4 ships, not the destroyer. And we'll see if these deep waters get in on them. It looks like they were going to be a little bit behind as predicted, because the island was cutting off the full speed ahead launch. So we weren't actually able to get those torps on those guys. They are aware that we're over here now. They do know that the destroyer is northward of them, at least. So that's information, if they're paying attention, that's available to them. And perhaps the destroyer also spotted those torps once the battleships spotted them, and it might be thinking about coming here to finish me off if he's playing a similar strategy as I would be employing. So a lot going on here, risky play. Of course, if we get spotted by the destroyer, all these secondaries should kill us as well. Do have a smoke to play with, but we're doing what we can do here. So kind of dicey play. Blue does a really good job coming back now. They want to sit on B, that's fine. I think you don't want to let them get the cap while we're fighting. So if you're going to have a brawl, duke it out close range, you might as well be on the cap. Make sure that they're not grabbing that. We're going to try and chime in here, and here will be a good illustration. I'm just trying to get this guy set on fire, because they are doing the will to rebuild hand-holding routine where we can't sink these guys. So one way to help counter that is to get them set on fire, and then, hope to God that everybody in your team shoots the same guy, because if they're not, you can't sink these guys. Just a great gameplay design, will to rebuild. I'm going to switch over to the AP here now, and you can see actual damage, because the HE was just for fire starting chances. And once we switch to the AP, we actually start penetrating and doing some raw damage. A little bit dicey there, shooting just because we were squeaking out of the smoke. Able to pull back in. We need to get the middle of the ship back into that smoke. Then we drop spot. The middle is the determination point for whether you're spotted or not. And do we get the Vlad with some torps here? Well, we got someone shooting us from the south. Now, it's probably the cruiser was last seen directly south of us. Would have had him with the deep water. And this is interesting. Twisting tracks over here. This scared me. I'm like, okay, this is unaccounted for, and this might be the end. So he's coming in hot. I don't know why he's not shooting. In fact, I'm not 100% sure if he's playing or not. Let me check this out while we're doing. But since he's angled, we're shooting him with HE, getting the full pens here. And then once we achieve a little bit more broadside, we switch over to the AP. And again, I'm not sure why I'm alive here, but nevertheless, you never know what you're going to see out there in the high seas. So, good look at the guns anyway. So, Vok goes down, and that pretty much seals the deal. So that's a look at the Northern Dragon for you guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming for all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.